everybody, good morning. Welcome back to the Reaper Pro Tip Show with me, your host, Ann, Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Disembodied Beard, John, and Loki the webcam, which is working today. Hello, everybody. Oh no, Quindy's emotes are broken. Oh no. Oh no. The pirate ship is going to be coming back, huh? Oh. I'll avoid that. I don't have enough, room for what I have. I need to, seriously attack my office, you guys. You have no idea. Oh, between the book stuff and the miniatures stuff, it's just insane. Yes. Definitely the re-upping. We are mousing today. Meesing. Big mousey over here. Yeah, I'm going to try to nail those catch lights in her eyes, I think, today. Yeah, let's do that. Do I feel like that? I don't know. Maybe I should test myself. Sometimes if you're going to do the kind of fiddly work, you want to kind of test to make sure that your arms are working, your fine motor is on point before you try to do something tiny like a catch light. So rather than doing that right off the cuff, let's actually work on her little red jacket and see what we can do. Right, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things where you're probably if you're going to get it, you're going to get it during the Kickstarter because it's such a deal. Such a deal. Man, allergies are killing me. With all the rain we've been having, I have a sore throat, I have itchy eyeballs, I have, runny noses, I have everything. Take your allergy pill, Quinty. Even with my allergy pill, I'm, feeling the effects. So if you hear me clear my throat a lot during stream, it's because of my itchy kind of sore throat. I'm going to mix a red for this. I decided I want to go slightly darker. I'm going to do 1 drop of deep red and 3 drops of blood red to drop the blood red down a little bit. And if I don't like that, I'm going to do another drop of deep red. I could just start with deep red, but I don't want to start quite that dark. Oh, I like the rain. I just don't like the aftermath when the molds all bloom and my allergies go to crazy. I really enjoyed the rain yesterday, otherwise. So, Quindy, I have another hiccup in my schedule. Other than being off this Monday and Tuesday, just since I'm thinking about it, I just had to make a follow-up appointment with a doctor, so that's going to be on, I think the 25th. It's a Thursday. Let me double check. Yeah. And I had to go in the morning. There was no other options available, so I'm going to have to call off on Thursday the 25th. Sorry, guys. I'm usually very consistent in January after the holidays, but there's just so much medical crap. There's so much medical crap because I committed this new year to following through with all of the, annual or 5-year annual, whatever you call it, pentannual testing, health tests that you're supposed to get as you get older. So yeah, there's stuff. Plus I committed to actually trying to figure out what is actually wrong with my guts. So all that means that I'm going to be out for some days here and there. So you're 92% mold. No, Kurtiko, that means I'm highly allergic to you. That's not good. All right, and the other thing I'm going to do is drop a little bit of white into this because I don't want the saturation level to fight with everything else. We talked about that the other day when we did our fun little troubleshooting episode with some of those clashing colors. I decided I'm going to do that for my $5 PDF this month, so expect another lesson on that if you are on my Patreon, which is patreon.com/paintingbig. And we're going to, essentially, I'll pick a few interesting ones and I'll deconstruct why. First, I'll go take you through the rules of what makes colors clash, in my opinion. And then, pardon me, adjust camera, there we go. And then we'll show some samples and we'll deconstruct. Using those rules, we'll, take you through why those colors clash and what you would do if you still wanted to use something. Glasses! If you still wanted to use something like those colors, how you could change those colors to make them work. That's what they all say, Cornico. Hello, Agent Marble. Good to see you. All right. Oof. All right, so I'm going to put a little white in this red because it's really, really strong. And I had hoped putting a little bit, so I'm just going to take a little bit on my brush. And if you mix just that little bit in, you will see that it does not actually make it pink. The key here is to keep the white that you add very small. You do this, it'll shift the color a tiny bit, but like a tiny, tiny bit, and it adds coverage. So if you're thinning your paint, that can assist. And it really hasn't changed it all that much. So I'm going to try this and see what I feel about it. But it does shift the color just a tiny bit, so if you're thinking that you've got something that's too saturated, too intense compared to your other colors, especially with how muted I went on Mouse Guy, and even like her fur is quite muted, right? So all things considered, let me slide everything back up here. We're going to try to go with that red. Except that everything wants to fight me now. Everything wants to fight. No, must not. I tried to arrange it so that my mic is like really close to me now, and without like getting in the way of everything else, and with the result that I have a very constricted area here in front of me, sadly. I may try to shift it again. Hey, at least you aren't allergic to pets though, because alrighty, so let's get that red and let's see how it looks. She's definitely a red, yellow, blue color scheme since I did take her eyes actually blue. We're going to get closer and we're going to get in focus. And they're blue enough to actually register as blue, which is the great thing about big Mousling eyes like this, is you can put color in the irises. Yeah, at least you both got abandoned at the same time. So yesterday, I finally felt like I was settling into this new book. It took a while. I think I'm pretty sure at this point this book is going to be, it's going to be between 50,000 and 75,000 words. So it's not going to be a novella. I should have known. I should have known myself. Because the thing is, like, these characters still have a lot of things wrong with them. And whenever you've got that, you tend to have a longer book. And they're not going to fix it all in this book either, but... So that's an okay red, especially once I highlight it. If I make sure not to go too intense with the highlighting, this should be an okay red. And she's got a little fur ruff around her neck. And a little fur cuff on her coat, I believe. Yeah, a little fur cuff. So we'll make that fur probably, I don't know. The thing with the fur, and it makes it a little difficult on this, is that if you make it too light, it tends to look Santa Claus, right? So I may need to actually go black fur. Yep. Twitch is laughing at your expense. And my book sales, I checked yesterday when I was experimenting with putting some ads up in the UK now. I had some simple ads running in the UK just to try it out, and I get sales there consistently enough that I think it's time to maybe invest a little bit more ad money over there. Over there in your neck of the woods, Kerniko. I'm not going to do it crazy frequently, but alright, so here I have to look. Yeah, it's double plates. So there's just a little tiny bit of sleeve that's going to show up there. It's Twitch Purgatory. Yeah, try to refresh. Always try to refresh. Always restart. Always turn it on and off. And that's, with the internet, that's refreshing. Since we cannot actually turn the internet on and off. So I'm getting a little bit of paint on the side of the lantern here, but it's not a big deal because I haven't even painted the lantern. So don't stress about that kind of thing. I mean, I do enjoy painting as neatly as possible because it does save me work down the line, but still, you don't have to go crazy about it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, Kerniko. I mean, I don't want to blow too much money because I still only have 2 books out. I'm trying to stay profitable, so this is kind of taking a little bit of a gamble, and we'll see how it goes. What is that? I can't tell if that's... The problem is, back in her hair, I can't tell if that's it looks like it might be another plate, so I guess I'm gonna make the scabbard here red because you really can't see any of the coat back here, and if I want that color to continue around the model, this has to be the choice. It's the only place to put it. And I do have a little bit of sleeve over there, yeah. This is where chibis generally make me, frustrated because of all the tiny body parts, and sometimes they're not sculpted very clearly, or they're not cast very clearly. It's either the casting or the sculpting. And that makes me frustrated because I can't tell what things are, and if I can't tell what they are, it's hard to paint them, as you all know. We've all run into that with a model from time to time where it's, really frustrating. Get her little sleeve going on there. And try not to paint the hair. Whenever you can, kind of come at it from the other side when you're going up, when you're base coating up against something you've finished. So that's a deeper red. And once I get that black fur on, it's not going to look Christmas. Plus, I still can shade it with even darker reds like Ergothoa. Otherwise, she's Santa Mouse, but that's okay. I don't mind. Actually, I don't mind Santa Mouse, but... But yeah, and my YouTube is still going up. That's interesting to me. I check my YouTube stats every time I go and load a new general public video, so that I'm not sitting there staring at it. So probably about every week or 2 weeks, week to 2 weeks, and it's still going up a lot compared to my historic performance. That said, it'll take 2 more years before I can probably get it monetized. It's a long process. Unless I start really, for some reason, somebody features me, some social media person, and I totally get a boost. But now we're getting into some of the more fun stuff for my YouTube where I can do, the fundamentals are out there. Now it's time for concepts and shorts and in practice, and I think all of that is going to be popular. So there we go, one extra coat. Yeah, see, so then, Kerniko. Yeah, I'm sure, just like birds, right? Birds steal fur to line nest. They like soft things. And that mouse was like, well, if you're going to be here, I'm going to take a tax. It was like the bridge troll. Morning Shadow Raven. Alrighty. Where is... I think I want to use something like... something bluish. I want to use something bluish. I've had my corporeal shadow out here, but I seem to have put it away. Oh, nope, there it is. It's hiding. It's hiding. It's maybe a little bit too blue, but it can be used for highlights. So let's actually use black mixed with a little bit of corporeal shadow, and then we will use the corporeal shadow plus white to highlight it. So pure black. Lately, I've been conscious of the risk of me getting old person voice because of, the sore throat being a thing, making me a little hoarse at times on stream and video. And I was like, no, not old person voice. So yesterday I started doing some vocal exercises, real gently since I have a sore throat, but I looked at, luckily, you can go on the YouTubes, and find some nice vocal exercises to do. And they're pretty easy. I can do them in the morning. They don't take long. But I used to have a really good voice when I was singing in choir. And I miss that. I miss singing in choir and I miss having a nice voice. So part of me has always kind of been like, maybe I should go and join a local choir or something. That might work seriously. I'd have to keep it short. There's a lot of paints I always have on my... It's not so much paints I keep out on my desk, because everything on my desk that I keep out is a neutral. Everything. But I'll write down that idea. I could probably spin it into something. But yeah, everything I have here... Oh no, I'm out of pens. I carried all my pens back to the desk. Get them out of my way, I assume. But yeah, when it comes down to it, the paints that I leave on my desk are neutrals. Unless the only exception is if I'm working specifically with a given set of colors on a model that I'm painting frequently, and then those colors get to stay out. Let's see here. And as far as close at hand, that's the stuff that's in the drawer, and that's 100 paints. Actually, I have a lot of short ideas. I was thinking I was going to be like, it was going to be hard, but it actually, what the shorts are for really is frequently asked questions. It's the stuff that people come in and ask all the time. Like, I have an old paint, how do I resuscitate it? Can I resuscitate it, right? Stuff like that, that's short. That's a short video. So I've got a list going, because I live by my lists. Lists are wonderful things. But yeah, I count corporeal shadow as a neutral. I use it as a shader. It is a dark blue-gray, really dark. And if I painted it flat on, you probably would like not really see it that it wasn't a black, especially if I didn't put black on this model. But I've decided to go just black with the fur on the hem. And at the throat, because the fur is light enough for me to do that. Just because I don't want her to be Santa Mouse. Otherwise, we'd have to have the diorama with like Santa's workshop behind her, and the Wraith Ghost wanting to pick up a new copy of Monopoly for the 11th time. Which explains why she's looking so disgruntled. The ghost of Mousling board gaming, if Quindy is to be believed. But really, then he needs not a sword in his hand. He needs like a game board or rules and like little minis. It's getting a bit too meta, I think. David got up even earlier this morning. I was like really disgruntled. He came out of the bathroom 10 minutes before my alarm even would go off. And he released the hound onto me 7 minutes before my alarm was even going to go off. I was extremely disgruntled. I'm like, you will now leave the bedroom and take the hound with you and close the door and just like leave me here to sleep for another 10 minutes because you robbed me. It's like, if you're going to get up earlier, it's what he's going to get tonight when he comes home. Is like, if you're going to get up earlier, then we are going to sleep earlier. I don't mind being woken up early. I like having a little more time in the morning, but that means we don't stay up late watching a show or something. That means we go to sleep early. He can survive on a lot less sleep than me, so he doesn't, like, feel that the way I do. Getting up under this and hitting the underside, because there's this flat area underneath a lot of models, just paint it dark, but sometimes if there's a bit of a crevice or something, it's really hard to get your brush in there. Just, if you really can't, then just take a lot of paint on your brush, like a big blob of it, and just flood the area. It'll dry eventually. And I'll be making the boots brown because of the fur right up next to them being black. Because I want to vary things. And then the little fur cuff. Except if you do that, Kruniko, I think you cut off the lantern, because it's actually pretty easy to cut off, and you put a scroll in her hand instead, which would be pretty easy because you just work off of that. You just snip it off like here, and you use the little handle that she's holding kind of as the scroll, like wooden pole, and that's, you've got, and print rules on it, so that she's actually like accusing him of cheating, and it's about to come to blows. Now I've got to try to get my hand in here for this little tiny itsy bitsy fur. Oh my gosh. These recessed areas. Yeah. Get it as well as you can. You probably won't highlight this fur in here because there's just not a lot of room. Maybe you'll hit it with one tiny highlight. Oh, that would be funny, Agent Marvel, you're right. Plus it would be fun because you could do the different colored, you know, could do the little spinner and the different colored path with the different colored spots. I always liked that kind of game. Alrighty, I think we've got the fur pretty much based. And I've got red. It's just, the good thing about painting tiny chibi type Mousling figures is that there isn't a whole lot to them, right? I think I'm also going to do black on this lantern. I'm going to highlight it the same way. Although maybe we'll just use the corporeal for this. And I'm going to paint this whole thing with this color, and I'm just going to come back and do some underpainting for the like little lantern for the light. Although, you know, why she needs a lantern to show her an undead that's already glowing is you know, it's questionable here. It's questionable. Or maybe the light draws out the undead. I don't know. He's like, hey, I was taking a nap. Turn off the light. And she's like, haha, I got you. Oh, I see a little... Okay. Saw a little notch in the base of the lantern, but it appears to be a feature and not a problem. And we may do a tiny bit of glow against her side under here, but the problem with this is it's in shadow, right? It's naturally in shadow. And so trying to light that up runs into the same problem that my Anubis does, in that the only time it's really going to show up or look right is if you tilt the model so that light can actually shine into this area. So I may or may not do it because it's just going to be wasted for the most part. Because with that shadow falling under her arm right where that light would be, it's just, this is where when you've got a natural shadow, it's hard to fight nature, right? It's pretty much impossible. You can give it a shot, but it may not show up how you want it to. Now I'm going to create a highlight higher than that, and then I'm going to start highlighting that fur, because I don't think this color is going to be, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's going to be light enough. If it's too light, I can always glaze with black over the top of it. So we've gone up from this darker color to this slightly lighter color there. And it's a little purple because this is a mixture of walnut and sapphire blue. Remember, Corporeal Shadow, if you don't own it, it is a mixture of walnut and sapphire blue from Core. Walnut is almost just black, but it does have red oxide in it, and that's what's making this shift purple, is that the blue in the sapphire blue and the red in the red oxide, even though you can't really see the red at all in the walnut, it is a factor, and when you add white, you can see that it comes out. So that's why we have a slight purple shift here. So I'm going to take this lighter color and I'm going to just try to hit little spots on the fur where it's sticking up. You want enough touches that you can bring out the fur texture, but you don't want to cover up the black. So you limit making this extremely fast to highlight. So just trying to get little bits so you can see the little bits of highlighting, but it stays black. And really the trick to doing that is just to keep your highlights real small and limited. Yeah, I can't see to really get back there, but so there's our first layer of highlight on the black. So I'm going to take it up one more level, make the fur a little bit shiny, I think. And to do that, I'm not going to mix any more into my base. I'm going to take 2 brushfuls of my existing blue-gray and move it over so that I can lighten it much faster. So there comes a point where you're just trying to mix more and more white into this. There's a point where you top out and you waste more paint than you want to. So take 2 big dabs of paint over to this well, and then we'll do another drop of white. Plus then we've got our previous color to touch up. Sure, Vanta. Yeah, I've been painting for a long time. Long. Professionally painting for about 25 years now. This is my, what I'll call my Reaper gallery quality. I definitely am painting this model a little bit more cartoony as well because it's more chibi-esque. Here's the ghost wraith that we were, her partner, that she's fighting or about to fight, come to blows to. And then on my own stream, on my own time, I tend to do stuff that's a lot more involved and slow. I like to paint to a competition level, so this is my crystal dragon that I've been working on. But yeah. So my process changes depending on what standard I'm painting to. I mean, the starting steps are always the same, right? For the most part. I've got my base coat, and then from there we'll see. I either go I usually go shadows first. But yeah, when starting dark, obviously then I'm working a light up from that instead of don't have shadows at that point. But yeah, so my process does change a little bit depending. I don't really do speed painting. At this point, I'm fast enough at layering that if I really need a model to be done fast, I can usually like base coat, line, and do a quick highlight, and that's good enough for me. Even my armies, it's unlikely that... I guess I did mix up a custom shade of contrast paint for my Tyranids because I knew I was going to need it and I didn't want to always have to mix it. So I got one of GW's normal contrast paints and then I added Master Series paint to it to darken it to the color I wanted and adjust it to the color I wanted. So with this highlight, I'm going to be very tiny. I don't want to wipe out my previous highlight. I just want to like touch it up a little bit, like there. Nope, Reaper does a line of Mouslings, Eat to Surf. Actually, Gene Van Horn has been sculpting them for like over a decade, well over a decade, I think now. So this was a 2023 ReaperCon piece that came out. It's essentially a recreation of one of the pieces of concept art that was for the convention, which doesn't feature mice people, but does feature a bridge guard and a wraith. So essentially, Gene reinterpreted them as Mouselings. But yeah, Reaper actually won an Origins Award for the first Mouselings box set long time ago. Over 10 years ago, when they first came out. Yeah, the teal is my favorite ghost color. It's Master Series. It is Phantom Glow. It's a fantastic color for ghost things. I tend to be of the Lord of the Rings school. I used to paint my ghosts like blue-gray, but then after Return of the King, I was like, that bright aqua does look pretty good on Phantom stuff, so I went for that. At least once I have painted one to the Ghostbusters school of ghost things and done like a green yellow, but I tend to like the bright aqua. So now we've got our fur, and at this point the bottom part almost looks more like it's dark gray a little bit on camera, but it's still dark enough. I'm sure when Peter Jackson did those scenes from Return of the King that he had color consciousness in mind. What colors he wanted the scene to have. But yeah, it's just grown to be my preferred. I lost a little bit of definition here, so I'm bringing a little bit of black back in. My preferred way of painting ghosty things. Everybody's got a preference. It's also nice because you're not just painting something just white, right? Like ghosts used to be portrayed, just kind of boring. Got the little cuff there. Ah. Yeah, the bedsheet ghosts. Yep, yep. Well, because white was kind of the color of the undead, if you think about it. You know, pale and lifeless. Vampires with their white skin and skeletons with white bones. But these days, the undead are a lot more colorful. They got a wardrobe adjustment. I lost a little bit of my black up on top, so I'm going to just line right up next to this gauntlet. Yeah. Oh, Quindy. Thanks for fixing it, but yeah, it's not a big deal. As long as it gets fixed, right? As long as people can find it in the YouTubes eventually. I did an interesting poll on my Patreon at the New Year, asking people where they found me, because I've always believed kind of that there's a lot when if you ever become like a creator, if you ever look into becoming a creator and trying to make some cash at it, people will always tell you, oh, just advertise on social media, and I've never quite believed in that, and my results from my poll completely bore that out. It's like Instagram was 0. I put a push when I first was getting my Patreon going. I put a fair bit of effort into posting on Instagram, but I just didn't like the platform, and so I just stopped over time. Social media for me tends to be time waster, and so I have to watch it a lot because otherwise it'll just steal the day. I don't go on social media very often now, but yeah, Instagram was 0. The top place was this Twitch channel, so thank you, Reaper fans, for becoming patrons. And the next top place was actually people who were fans of mine from the old days, like Dark Sword DVD, Reaper Learn to Paint Kit, stuff like that, who came to my Patreon when they heard about it. And then the third was actually my own YouTube channel, which I'm super happy about. Because I always felt like YouTube actually has been shown to convert, unlike a lot of other social platforms. So that made me happy. Because I like YouTube. I really enjoy doing it. It and Twitch. YouTube and Twitch are my social media platforms. I enjoy doing these. It's fun. I like interacting with people live on here, and I like doing the videos and putting knowledge out into the world so that more people can find it. Alrighty, so just doing a bit of lining there just to get things cleared up. Yeah, I mean, well, if you're specifically, because most of the time, because Google's going to take you to YouTube, right? That's the thing, is like, if I type in a query, most of the time the first thing that shows up is YouTube videos, followed by, maybe some blogs and stuff, or websites that answer my question or find my thing. So I think they're very interchangeable. I mean, they're both, obviously, Google owns YouTube, so that's why. Yeah, the only downside is that it's going to take me a while to actually be able to monetize my YouTube. So right now I'm producing a lot of content that's awesome for Google for free, but it's all right because that just means that people find it and people learn. And that's what I'm pretty much about, so it doesn't bother me that much. Would I like to make some of Google's money? Yes. Yes, I would, but I can be patient. Nope, I do not do YouTube Live yet. A lot of people seem to like YouTube Live. Like, when I look at my demographic analysis breakdown on my stream, on my YouTube channel, it does like, if you watch both, like if you watch YouTube Live, it will tell me that X percentage of the people who watch me also watch some live streams on YouTube. And a decent percentage of the people who subscribe to my channel do watch live, so sometime I might try it. Oh yeah, I don't want to do both at once. I feel like I want to do a slightly different kind of thing for YouTube. I don't know. Because here, doing this stream feels like hanging out with friends because you guys are awesome. But YouTube is going to be a lot of strangers. So, I mean, it's going to be some of you maybe, but it's going to be a lot of new people to me. So I think I'd have to structure things a little bit different. I might want to have it, anything I do on YouTube, to be more of a teaching stream, essentially. Like, actively geared toward teaching, like I do on here sometimes. Sometimes if I come into the stream with an agenda on here, it's very much a teaching stream. Well, we do color theory sometimes. That's the way of it. But there have just been streams here and there where I've been like very focused on teaching and less on chatting, and that, I think that's the kind of mental zone I want to be in if I do YouTube Live. Multi-streamed, yeah. Hello, Nara. I like to have my Twitch streams be just a certain way, and I would want my YouTube. I think the more I think about it, the more I think that the YouTube would be very much, I would be entering into the stream with this is what we're going to learn today. And boom. And it's like, because when I'm doing that, I don't chat to you guys nearly as much, right? I don't engage nearly as much. I'm more instructing. And I think that's the face I'd rather put on YouTube and have Twitch be more casual. Because the reason I like Twitch is the capacity to be more casual. But yes, but as it is, my time is precious to me, and I don't have the time to add in YouTube Live. Maybe if we get to the point where I'm monetizing, if YouTube decides that I'm big and awesome enough to actually pay me, then I might consider. Because Twitch pays me. Like, Twitch is the ability to get paid on Twitch is it's a much easier threshold to catch. And as a creator who, like, essentially is like, I'm living off of my creatorness, you're always, even if money's not your goal, it always has to play a part a little bit, because you still have to eat. Or you still need to pay the bills for all your, like, websites and advertising and everything that you're doing. Forgot my little handle up here. So yeah, I don't think I would dual stream. I think that it would be a very different show for different venues. So notch taken out. Now I'm going to we had our rain come through yesterday, so I'm sure you guys will get it as it sweeps along. Sunny today though, out here on the West Coast. So I'm going to block in the entire face of this white, and then I'm going to take the black and go over the top. It's much easier than trying to hit all these little cutouts, and you're probably going to get, you're going to blur out the lines anyway, so you may as well just do white across the whole front. Need to mix up my paint a little more. Like, you mean on YouTube or on... Because that's kind of what the in-practice videos are going to be. I'm going to choose a small selection of figures and demo painting the various parts of them. And those videos will be short. They're not going to be hour-and-a-half streams. Although, when you think about it, I do, obviously, sometimes things just take that amount of time because of the way I paint. Like, when I'm on here, I'm chatting, but I'm also painting while I'm chatting. But I could focus more on exactly why and what I'm doing. The thing about it, though, that you run into is you end up not finishing the whole figure because... I could show you how to paint one face of the lantern, and that's really all you need. Like, after that, time spent on the other faces of the lantern is wasted, right? So you never end up, I never end up being able to show you a complete figure unless I put in my own free time to finish that model outside of the video. And that's where I kind of, like, break down because I just don't have the time. Unless it's a model like Crystal Dragon that I'm, like the stuff I do for the Painting Big stream, where I'm just enjoying it because it's my model and I want to paint it. Yeah, I don't put chatty streams on my YouTube anymore. They're just hard to watch because you can't contribute necessarily. So and now we run into the problem with the back here where we're not really going to be able to do it. Yeah, I keep moving forward because I'm pretty good at anybody whoever went to paint club during the years I was at Reaper could tell you I'm very good at painting and talking at the same time. Doing paint club for 2 decades will do that to you. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry. Oh yeah. Yes, well, actually, yeah, I've already got the foundations videos over there, seriously. So if you want to... Yeah, see, I really can't reach back in here, guys. It's, like, going to be too hard. So I'm going to just leave it dark. Because I'm not doing the lighting effect. I'm just going to pretend, essentially, she's got a hooded lantern, and we're just going to pretend that this side is hooded. And that's the way we're going to run it. Because I'm going to paint it dark. Because anything else is just not going to work. It's just too hard to get a brush back here. But yeah, I already have the foundations of mini painting, fundamentals of mini painting series, which is all finished now. It's all finished on YouTube. So now we'll start the other ones. If you're on my Patreon, I just put up the first concepts video, which covers paint lines. Kind of types of paint lines. Just something... There's a lot of people who want to talk about all the different paint lines, but there's not a lot out there to talk about, like, conceptually what different paint lines are, like to work with and what they'll do for you. And that's a kind of information where it can help you once you realize what kind of paint line you're dealing with. It helps you to understand why it will do certain things and maybe not be as good at others. So I want to put that out there. Then probably from there we end up going toward color theory in the concepts videos. I have a whole list. I have an outline for the next almost 2 years, I think. And I change it up as I get ideas. Oh, yeah. Yeah, whenever you can. I mean, as long, if nothing else, join as a free member, because then you'll know when the videos go live, and you'll get to watch them early. Seriously. That's why I keep a very low money tier. That's why I keep a $2 tier. Even though, like, the going wisdom these days is to, like, make your lower tier higher, like $5. But I want, like, poor college students to be able to, like, sub to my Patreon if they want. So, the $2 tier is there, and it's there to stay. Especially now where I've got it dialed in where the $2 PDF is essentially a companion PDF to videos, and it makes it actually, it's more streamlined for me, because I had seriously wondered if I was going to keep doing the $2 tier, because it was costing me just as much time as any other tier, but for much less money a month. And I was like, well, that's not really sustainable. That's not really a good practice. And I don't have that many people. I think it's my lowest tier. My smallest tier is the $2 tier, I think. So I was like, well, is it worth keeping this? But then I realized when I got the idea to do the companion PDFs at the $2 tier for all the new YouTube stuff, then I was like, oh, okay, now this is good. It's useful because a lot of people learn better by reading than watching, or reading after they watch is going to help cement the information. And it saves me time because I'm already doing an extensive outline for my video. So all I have to do is then adapt that outline and write. I'm going to do a stripe of light on the inside here of this little border. Oh, and we're going to blur fit, but that's okay. So really it's the edge of the outer wood here that's going to catch the light. And the upper part. So we're doing a tiny bit of OSL here, but not OSL onto the figure itself, but OSL onto the lantern. Yeah, wool blankets are the way to go. Although we have a nice cotton comforter that's nice and heavy and feels good. So essentially lighting that up a bit. And there's a little edge that's like facing away from the light that's not going to light up, but I'm kind of filling in a lot of stuff here right now. Because at this point it's easier to just block everything in white and then paint around that little edge. That would be more than a short pendrake, and it would definitely not be practical for me, because in order to compare those lines, I have to own them. And I'm not going to pick up a bunch of lines. I mean, I've already done this in my Patreon, to be honest. There's some content that is going to remain in the Patreon. Like, when I did the Reds PDF, I directly compared several different paint lines with their flagship primary red. But yeah, that's not something I want to do. There's plenty of people out there doing that kind of comparison. That's not what my strength is. Yeah, exactly. And Agent Marple has. Yes, MSP is very. If you painted more, you might like have spotted it before Pendrake, because you're pretty observant that way. But yeah, Pendrake, MSP is does vary. I mean, it varies by the pigment, and it. I mean, it also varies from line to line. The bones bases are slightly different. And even like the base, because we use so many different bases. When you're using a different base, when you use 12 different bases or 14 different bases or whatever the crazy number we use is, you're going to get some variance. The consistency, the fluidity of the line is fairly consistent. But even then, a very highly pigmented paint that uses a pigment that's very thick, because the ochres, the oxides tend to be thicker, you're going to notice that in the paint. And often when you overpigment, paint becomes more fluid, not actually thicker. Even if you're using a thick pigment, it's just the way that it works. It's very counterintuitive. So it makes it, like, that's why we hit the general viscosity that we're looking for, but we don't hit, like, we're not trying to make everything exactly the same. Like, we'd have to do chemical things to do that and compromise on certain things that I'm not willing to compromise on. Now, I'm no longer in charge, so if Reaper wants to standardize everything, then that's up to them. Yes. Like Inara says. Inara gets it. Inara gets it. But yeah, every line has variance. I mean, even Vallejo, some colors are going to be very opaque and some are going to be less opaque. Like, the thing that's fairly consistent in Vallejo is because they're using that very thick latexy base, is that the viscosity tends to be very standard across that line. But you'll notice variance in most paint lines if you're paying attention. So the trick here is that this little edge that's facing outward isn't going to be hit with a lot of light, and this little edge that when it steps up, that edge will. So I'm probably going to have to touch up this little edge with black once I do the black grid on the interior here. It's very small areas, but it'll help to define how the lantern looks. Zechariah, there could be changes in the future on that. I mean, I'd talked to Ron previously, and even Ed, about essentially combining stuff into one line and dropping colors that were too close if they needed to, because we were just coming up on like a real lack of space, and also a line that was so cumbersome that a lot of stores don't order a lot of later colors because they don't fit on the rack. So you have to, at that point, kind of assess where you're going with it. And then the outer parts of here are not going to be getting the light at all, so they need to stay dark. Now, again, this is all conversations that were had a long time ago, and Reaper is going to do what Reaper's going to do. So, no longer my circus. I am no longer the ringmaster. So yeah, never assume. It's always and right now things are what they are, but that doesn't mean there isn't a good way that we could redesign, that Reaper could redesign. It would almost always involve cancellation, which is why I say if you like a color, buy an extra bottle while you can. You just never know. So some of this is more elegant than others, but we'll see if we can get it to look decent. Ah. One day, huh? That's too bad. It used to be a 2-day NR. Alright, I think I'm to the point where I can start doing in the lattice, and if I have to like accentuate any of the little squares of light, then I can take my chances and do that. I think I'm going to do... I'm debating. I'm thinking I'm actually going to use Corporeal Shadow for this. Because I I kind of like this evening color that I'm getting. My concern is that I don't know how well it's going to cover, but we'll see. Because I need something that's going to cover quick, and walnut fits that bill, and I may go for walnut. Because the this is going to be a pretty warm light. No, she does not have a visible tail. Many times Mouslings do, but she does not. I'm going to add another drop of walnut to my corporeal, because of course it is made from walnut anyway. Oh, I see. It used to be a 3-day, so 3 separate single day. Well, that's, I mean, in some ways that's cool, because people who can't come on one given time may be able to come on the next one, right? But less likely to get people traveling from out of town. I could see that. Alrighty, let's see what we can do. This will be hard. Just go slow, make sure your paint is thinned at least 4:1 because you want it to come off of your brush very easily. Alright, come back across. So yeah, and when in doubt, go pretty lightweight on your initial line until you make sure you've got it good. And then you can touch it up. There we go. So we have that pretty well. Our crosses this way are a little thin, so we're going to thicken those out. I mean, the downside of doing 3 events a year is that you have to worry about the headache 3 events a year if you're an organizer. Ah, uh-oh, I blorfed. Because I was coming at it not from my usual angle. That's like, don't contort your brush hand. That's like rule number 1. So now I have to come in and fix that because we can see it got really close in there. That's funny, Richard. Sympathetic breath holding, huh? So for white, I'm going to have to get it just on the tip of my brush. And flood that little square very carefully. So, and obviously this is going to dry on the tip of my brush pretty quick, so you have to like get that in quickly so you can open those up. And up here I'm really failing, so I need to do something in that upper corner. That's a little better. This is not something, this is not something that I would try if you're like unpracticed eat to surfs. That said, if you never try to do fine work, you just won't get better at it. So I do recommend that people, even if you're a washer and dry brusher, I do recommend that every once in a while you do try your hand at detail work so that you have a chance to get better at it. Because the only way to improve your fine motor is to use it. It's just like lifting weights. The only way to build muscle is to lift weights in one way or another. right, so now I need to get this little shelf dark. While keeping the interior light. Just being a little bit finer now with what I'm doing. That's all going to be pretty good. This needs to be angled. So because the light is coming out here, shining this way, it's going to actually angle out. It's going to be in shadow, like out here on the ends. So we actually can't have the light going all the way out here. It's such a subtle thing to paint this, but it helps make it feel right. So we want it more, the white to come out a little bit, but then not to come all the way out to the edges. Same down here. Gotta block off part of it. You can see how titchy this could get and why it is such a pain. And I totally didn't catch it because I've watched like maybe one complete episode of The Mandalorian. Get the edge here. All right, so we got light on the around the inside. I need to touch up this side. The black has gotten a little bit more than it needs to be. Ah, yeah, smaller one day is easier to do. That makes sense. Yeah, well, this is OSL, and it's very limited OSL, but it's still OSL, which means it's a conceptual technique. Part of it is about brush control because of the way the lantern has been sculpted, but a lot of it is about where's your light actually. So that's why it's hard. It's not, I mean, part of it is fine motor in this particular case. But like if you didn't have this cross of things here, it wouldn't actually be that difficult. If you didn't have the lattice, right? It would be difficult for a different reason because then you really have to you really have to know your OSL. And that is a concept, not a mechanical technique. You can't just mimic what I'm doing. You have to think about it. Oh, they have a game cafe. That's nice. Okay, I think I'm okay. I just want a little bit more of a stripe of light on the side, and then I'm going to put yellow in, and we're going to see how it goes. You couldn't do it. Or, okay. If you're going to do that, you're not going to use this lantern. If you're actually going to totally cut off the top and cut off the bottom and just resculpt something. Like, so you wouldn't bother with the lattice. You would, or if you were going to do a lattice, you would choose to get some wire screen that had the appropriate thing, and you would build your own lantern for that. It's not, there's just not a point otherwise. It's like, it's so much easier. It's not impossible to just cut it off at the top and bottom, use the top and bottom, get some wires for the side, get wire lattice to put inside, and then you just, before you attach that lattice, you put a little fire in there. But I mean, you might not be able to even see it. And that's the problem then, is that you really can't do OSL. Because you don't have the solid area in here anymore. It'd be very hard. Because the minute you don't have this this solid area, the minute the fire is actually inside, it's under this roof, and suddenly you get that shadow. You get that cast shadow just like you get here. I mean, if you're going to do it, you do it with an LED, but how you're going to run an LED through this model to get it inside this lantern? Good question. Like, it's really too small. So, yeah, that's exactly what Inara just said. You and I were thinking totally alike, Inara. But yeah, some ideas, and this is part of also when you're trying to work with stuff like LEDs and stuff, it's just like understanding when the idea has gotten to the point where it's really just not going to be possible, or it's going to be just so ambitious that you're going to try to do it, get so frustrated, and you're going to stop. I have that again. That is kind of my mindset. It's like, I definitely have a brain that assesses the difficulty of a given task and nopes out of it if it looks like it's going to be near impossible, unless I am so in love with the concept that I'm gonna try it anyway. But that's not really a thing. Like, because I'm very good at assessing how possible or impossible with my skill set a given thing is, because more than anything, my brain does not like to waste time. It's like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do something that I know I can execute, that has a decent chance of looking good, and I'm not willing to futz around just to see what if, you know. Some people don't have that issue, but my brain, that's its superpower. It's a real superpower. That is what I've got, is the instant assessment of, is this the right way to go or the wrong way to go? Like, that's where I am. I mean, if I was going to do something like that, this is the wrong piece, though. Right? Right. Wire lighting, it's you can do some cool stuff, right? But I wouldn't do it on this piece. I would do it on a bigger piece where I had more room. Where I have more room to run wire, or to allow light into a lantern, or to something that wouldn't fight me. Everything about this model would fight you on that project. So you have to look for a model that lets you execute on that idea that's not going to make it really look bad in the end. Because the worst feeling of all is when you actually do accomplish the thing you set out to do and it just doesn't look that great. Like, you're like, oh, if I would have used a bigger model, if I would have used a model with a bigger lantern, if I would have used a model with a connection point where I could actually run a wire, you know, something like that. So, yeah, so even for competition level, there's definitely what model I want to, if I were doing it, I'd be like, okay, I want to have a model with a lantern that actually glows, and I want to do an LED in it. Then I would be like, okay, what models do I have where I could make this work? And I would be looking on the bigger side for sure. Okay, let's try to put some yellow over this. We're going to use probably candlelight, and then candlelight mixed with white. One second while I get my candlelight yellow opened up and then in my palette. And candlelight's a color that I often use for, candlelight and firelight. You could go a little more orange as well if you want to start that way. And I probably will grab a little bit of sunrise to go around the edges. So if I want to make the illusion that the light is stronger toward the center, then I'll do candlelight over everything, but then I'll glaze a little bit of sunrise over the areas that are farther out. Yeah, Master Series, the line that I created. On this stream, we always use MSP. Reaper Stream, Reaper Products, but it is also, you know, it is the line I created, so. On my own stream, I sometimes use other paints in addition. I've used Chimera and Scale Color Artist. Those are the two other lines that I like. Gonna thin this down a bit. And that candlelight yellow is a bright yellow. It's a bright orange shade yellow, so it is closer to orange than it is to green. It's orangier than what we think of as primary yellow. I'm gonna put, these is still a little bit, you see how it's a little bit viscous still? It's holding a peak and it's not flowing back together. So I'm gonna add a little bit more water. Well, it's Reaper, so it's Reaper Master Series paint. So if you go to reapermini.com, I'm sure that there's a Reaper paint, a Reaper store link. But then you go to Master Series. These two colors are in the Bones line. So we have a Master Series core, but we also have a Master Series Bones line. Bones, the yellows and oranges cover a little bit better, because that's the kind of, that was our higher coverage line. That was kind of the aim of it. There we go, Quindy with the Reaper link. So yeah, if you go to reapermini.com and you hit the, go to the store, and there's like a drop down menu, like you can just go to paint and it'll drop down and take you where you need to be. All right, so we can, and I could have done this yellow before I put the black on, or I can just use a thinned yellow, go over the top. Because the black would be a little bit, there would be some reflected light as well. So getting the black a little bit more, having it fade a little bit when I put this yellow over it is actually not a bad thing. But yeah, I use mostly Master Series with, on certain models I've gone heavier into Chimera or Scale Color, which is the tube paint. When I release the first concepts video, I'll talk about all these different lines. Though actually, as I said, if you're a free member on the Patreon, then you can watch it early. All right, I'm gonna put orange more on the outside, keep the yellow toward the middle, and at the exact middle of where I think the light might be, I'm gonna put a little bit of white to suggest that this is the center and it's brighter. That's going to help create the illusion that we want. Oh, it's time to stop. Okay, well, I'm going to do the orange real quick. And any touch-ups will have to come next time. Do a little bit of oranginess toward the outer edge. And I'm keeping my orange real thin because I don't want to overdo it, so I may need to put on a couple of layers. So just a little bit. Right now there are so many videos I want to make for my YouTubes and I do not have the time. Just need to wait. Need to get all the Patreon stuff done and then I can do it. There we go. So that gives a feeling of it being lighter toward the middle, darker toward the outside, and glowy. And it'll probably be a little more convincing once I give my highlights and shadows in on the outside of the lantern. But yeah, so that's how I would do that, and that's how we will be doing the other faces as well. But I like that. And if I put these guys in a diorama, if the lantern was really close to the sword, say there, I might put a little bit of suggestion on like the corporeal parts here of a little bit of yellow light. That would be one way you could show that. But again, like with both models obviously being in like daylight, it's not, I mean, maybe, because this is metal, maybe, but unlikely. At some point coming up, we'll paint another model like it's in shadow with a OSL light source. And that'll be a lot easier to make decisions like that. But yeah, so this is coming up pretty well, I think. Yeah, look, the teal, the camera doesn't know what to do with it. It was taking the orange out when I put the teal in. But yeah, I think this is coming along really well. I don't know if I have the brush control to put catch lights in her eyes today. I think I'm going to hold off until I really feel my fine motor coordination superpower kick in. But it is 10 after, and the stream has gone very quickly indeed. There's our heroic mouse maid, and she's got a lot more color on her now, which is great. Yeah, she's coming right along. They really paint themselves in some respects. Tomorrow, hi Kiki, hi, oh it's a Keekers. Tomorrow is Friday. Hold on, I think we get a Kiki. Kiki, are you going to come up? Kiki, no, not that way, Bubba. Not that way, where's my Bubba? Bubba, come on up. Yay, okay, there you go. There you go, fans. Tomorrow is Mermaid Day. We're going to be doing the wood. Oh no, I'm getting licked. I'm getting licked. I'm getting so licked. Yes. There you go, Keekers. Oh, no teeths. No teeths. Yeah, I'm about to close down the stream and then we can take our walk. Ready for a walk? Yeah, good girl. Yes. Excellent. So yes, tomorrow will be Mermaid Day. And we've gotten the anchor. We'll get the mug done. We'll do the wood the way I'd like to do it. And then maybe we'll do a little gold if we have time left over. We've still got little bits and pieces of this to do, but it's really coming together really well. So yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Nara. I will, Quindy, thank you for herding as always. At least the webcam actually behaved today. Thank you all, and we will see you again tomorrow. All right? Bye-bye.